to the plight of individuals trying to escape violence or poverty in their home countries, I want to pull my hair out. The fact that they actually believe that anyone who wants to come to the United States should be allowed is astounding.
Criminal! She's criminal!
Is this better, guys? I know it's hard to hear. As a country, we have an absolute right to secure our borders and enforce our laws. We determine.
Don't become Europe!
We determine who should be admitted into the country. In fact, 75% of Americans, that's Republicans, Democrats, and independents, say that immigration is the top issue facing this country.
Do something about it!
Sweden's a wasteland!
It's no wonder why we are all concerned, especially when FBI Director Chris Wray testifies. Hold on. He did testify that the FBI is seeing a wide array of very dangerous threats emanating from our border. I know, there's plenty of things that you can have beef with, but those words to Congress and the fact that he says the threats have reached a whole other level and that blinking red lights are everywhere should give Congress the will to do what's right.
Throw the communists out!
We all know the mainstream media has been hiding the crisis at our borders since Biden took office. But even they have been unable to hide the numbers of illegal border crossers streaming into the United States. A new FAIR report estimates that illegal immigration has increased 16% since Biden took office. There have been over 9 million encounters and nearly 2 million gotaways. And I have a little story about the gotaways. I was at a law enforcement conference just last month, and CBP Chief Jason Owens told some law enforcement officers that the gotaways could be a lot higher, so as much as 30% higher, because some of the technology they use for the gotaway numbers has been inoperational for a significant period of time.
Just like the voting machine.
Yes.
Just in fiscal year 2024, which began October 1st, there have been over 1.7 million encounters, including nearly 20,000 criminals. And I know that Jim Robb talked about the southern border, but there have been 235 individuals on the known terrorist watch list. According to Border Patrol agents, individuals from 170 countries have been encountered at our southern border, including many from countries like Venezuela and China, where we have strained relations, or even where the countries are hostile to us.
Terrorists from the Middle East.
Venezuelans are now the second most encountered nationality at the border. There was a 77% increase in the numbers between fiscal year 2022 and 2023. Like Venezuelans, there has been a massive increase in the number of Chinese coming across our southern border. More than 50,000 Chinese have been apprehended crossing into the U.S. the last fiscal year, and already more than 40,000, and it's only half over.
And all our old submarines.
In fiscal year 2023, more Chinese were encountered crossing the border from Mexico than the previous 10 years combined. According to House Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green, many of those apprehended have known ties to PLA, the People's Liberation Army. And as a little side note, how many of you caught that the Chinese are actually using a roadmap on how to enter the United States? We all probably saw that TikTok video about the gap in our border wall that has a detailed map for them where it's located and directions on how to come. It's time to say enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
When I thought it was off the record, President Biden's enabler-in-chief, Secretary Mayorkas, candidly admitted at an internal Border Patrol meeting that more than 85% of illegal aliens encountered at the southern border are released into our country. 85%. Of course, when he was asked about this statement at a congressional hearing, he said he couldn't recall the statement, and that the security of our southern border is our highest priority. He's really shown that, hasn't he? One of those aliens paroled into the country was Jose Antonio Ibarra, a Venezuelan who has been charged with the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. Enabler-in-Chief Mayorkas initially testified before Congress that Ibarra was paroled into the country because DHS had no derogatory information on him. The very next week, he told Congressman Bishop he didn't know the details of why Ibarra was paroled into the U.S., but he was willing to share them. After the parole file was released, it came to light that Ibarra had been paroled into the country due to overcrowding. Overcrowding, that was the reason. And that is a clear violation of our
Kick
immigration
Mayorkas out.
statutes.
Kick him out.
Penalty to him! Death penalty!
Laken Riley and Maureen's son Matthew should still be alive. Their deaths were entirely preventable since the individuals responsible for them weren't even supposed to be in this country. It's time to say,
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough!
instead of implementing policies that will end the border crisis, President Biden and his enabler-in-chief Mayorkas are attempting to hide it by creating what they call new legal pathways. This is really just an abuse of our immigration laws. They are paroling in about 30,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans monthly. That's monthly, guys. Through the end of March, they have paroled in 400,000. President Biden and his enabler-in-chief are also abusing CBP One app to process even more people. The CBP One app allows inadmissible aliens to actually schedule an appointment and be granted entry into a port of entry. In March, CBP processed about 43,500 individuals through appointments at the points of entry, utilizing the CBP One app. Since it was introduced in January 2023, over 500,000 have been processed into this country. The policies implemented by Biden and his enabler-in-chief invite people to cross the border illegally. They have unleashed chaos into our backyards and guaranteed that every state is a border state. And instead of calling out these policies and saying what?
Enough is enough.
Governor Healy and her open border cronies in the Massachusetts legislature roll out the welcome mat, giving illegal aliens, as was said before, driver's licenses, which help them get jobs they're not even supposed to have, guaranteeing them shelter, shielding them from immigration enforcement, and many, many other benefits. This is the huge magnet for illegal immigration into this state. And they have come so much that Governor Healy had to declare a state of emergency. In order to address the influx of aliens, she's opened up a welcome center to provide aliens with supports and services and transportation. She's used veteran housing for illegal aliens, even as veterans. Despicable, right? She's even housing illegal aliens at a Boston area rec center, shutting down the programs that help the disadvantaged. All these are placing a huge burden on taxpayers, costing billions. The housing shortage, coupled with the state's attractiveness to illegal aliens, is a boon to those seeking to exploit the border crisis. At a Massachusetts hotel that houses illegal aliens, a Haitian, Corey Alvarez, who the Biden administration paroled into the country, has been charged with raping a 15-year-old girl.
Hang them!
In another instance, an escaped convict who was wanted in Brazil for armed robbery was arrested here in Massachusetts with fraudulent documents.
Guys are doing that to us. Very cool.
And just last month, a Colombian was charged with rape and indecent assault and battery on a minor over the age of 14. This illegal alien was first encountered in Eagle Pass, Texas, after entering the U.S. illegally. He was issued a notice to appear and enrolled in an alternative detention program, i.e. he wasn't detained at the border and sent back. It's time to say enough is enough.
Enough is enough!
We must demand that our borders are secured and criminal aliens aren't allowed to hide out in the great state of Massachusetts. Let's say it one more time. We cannot wait any longer. The time is now. If we don't act, President Biden and our enabler-in-chief will continue to keep our borders open. Governor Healy will leave the welcome mat out, and Americans will be forced to continue bearing this burden.
Americans are human
Thank you.
beings! Americans are human beings!